you yourself had to quarantine for, I believe it was 3 months. And you said in an interview that you were doing martial arts training while you were quarantining, and that sort of led to being excited about London Confidential. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, just before lockdown was announced and we were allowed to, we were all shut down. I started this martial arts class, and I kept up with it. Of course, in the beginning, I couldn't train with the teachers, so some online stuff was happening, and then we found a garden space that we could go and train towards the latter end of lockdown. And when the film came to me, there was some action in it. So it's like normally when I've done action for any of the films I've been a part of in the past, it's always been what the action director decides for you. But here also it was done quite quickly. So the action director was a British man, Kevin, used what we already had. So he looked at me and he said, "Oh, have you done anything?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing some training." So he said, "Okay, maybe we'll use some of that." So it's not very elaborate if you've seen the film, but it was nice to at least move the body correctly, with what all I've learned in the last 5 or 6 months. So that was good.
Mm-hmm. You said it was a short turnaround. I read somewhere that you had met Kanwal Sethi. It was 10 days before the shoot was supposed to start. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was very quick. So I got the script much earlier, actually, for sometime in, I think, April or May, and my first question was that how are you guys going to do it? Because and it was written for another city. Then it was not written for London. It was written for another city, and same setup but a different city. And I said, it doesn't look like I can travel. So, how are we going to do this? Then, so I actually said no to the film. I said, no, I don't think this is something I would want to do, because we can't commit to anything right now.
Right.
And once things opened up, they came back in, literally it was, I think, end of June or beginning July. And I met Kanwal online first on a Zoom call like this. And then we met in person a week later in London. He flew down, and I was actually, lockdown just opened up, and me and my wife went for a weekend off. So it was like, let's meet. I said, no, I've gone out now for a long weekend. So he came in, and then I literally met him, I think about 10 days before we shot, the first day of shooting. And in those 10 days, of course, the script and all had come before, so I'd read everything. But I was keen to meet him before I actually got the final yes, because for me, the director is the most important. I had seen his work before, so I was impressed by him, but I wanted to meet him to see if him and me were on the same wavelength. And I think we hit it off pretty well. And relationship. In fact, we are looking at how we can work together again now. So
nice. You talked about the importance of meeting your director and the importance of knowing whether or not you're going to hit it off. Why is that so important to you as an actor?
Well, I think film is a director's medium, so it's integral to have a director that you trust to give every part of yourself as an actor to, when you read a script, you come in with certain understanding of the character. And inevitably, since, as I said, it's a director's medium, the director comes with his take on how he wants to portray the character. And sometimes it's a fight, and it's good to have that fight. But you need to understand that if the director and you are willing to come to some grounds on that fight, on that battle, and try and finally have a character that you feel satisfied about, he feels satisfied about, and then of course the audience accepts and likes to watch. There are many times when past I've worked with directors and they've been frustrated about something I wanted to do, and then they say, okay, you've done your way, now let's do it our way. Let's do it our way. And that is acceptable too. And I think when I look back, I can tell you that there are times that my way has worked and there are times that my way hasn't worked. So, but I guess an actor-director relationship has to be, way where there's a certain sense of understanding of working with each other. And if you all don't get along, it's a real bore to be spending every 10 days, 12 days, 15 days, or a month, 40 days on a film set. I don't think I could survive that long if I didn't like working with someone. I've had those experiences. And they're not fun.
I mean, I think it makes complete sense, especially because on a film set, you're constantly in each other's spaces, right? So it would make some sense to be able to get along with your cast and crew. So I hear you on that one. A film like London Confidential requires, from my perspective, good timing on dialogue. You know, people constantly talk about comic timing. I think that dialogue delivery is extremely important in a film like London Confidential. I think it needs to be said with certainty, specifically because of the character that you're playing and the characters that are portrayed in the film. It's also a world that's kind of detached to the world that you are. You're obviously an actor, and one of the things you're supposed to do is step into the world of, you know, these diplomats. What do you do as an actor to ensure that you have maybe a certain kind of confidence, a little bit of, you know, the street savvy, a little bit of the intelligence? How do you do that? Because it is a world far removed from at least anything I've ever been exposed to. So how do you get into that?
Well, I've been exposed to some of the diplomatic world to start off with, because my brother-in-law is a diplomat.
Right.
And my sister and him lead that diplomatic lifestyle, you know, traveling from country to country. So I've seen some of that through my life. I understand it. That was helpful for me. Are you asking about any role in general, or just
no, this one specifically, and then if there's a difference in the way that you've done this versus another role?
I think that helped me to sort of, because as you know, it was such a short process of preparation, you know, so you sort of jump into things, and that was one thing I did think about, and saying, okay, how do I jump in quite quickly? So I took a lot from their life and their friends that I've met in the past, and the conversations they have, to understand what those characters are like. As far as timing is concerned, I don't think I don't put too much thought into the timing. I let instinct play on that. I think I am instinctive in terms of timing once I get the character into my head, you know, and understand that. Very often it's the writing that gets it there. Sometimes you miss it, and then again your director points it out, you know, and saying, okay, that's the line. They're often that I've understood the timing completely wrong, you know, completely wrong, and there's a joke in that, or there's, you know, because timing is such an important thing. But I like it to come instinctively if I'm playing it, and I feel that's always more natural. So I think each character is approached very differently, depending on time, depending on how much you already have about that character, how much you're willing to learn, and how much you're willing to de-learn, to incorporate that character into your being. So I think each process is different.
It's important you said you need to learn and de-learn. Did you have to de-learn anything for this particular character for London Confidential?
I think you have to always let go of your previous character. That's always hard. You know, whenever you have done a part, lucky for me, because there was nothing happening for the last 6-8 months, I had the gap. But sometimes when you're jumping from project to project, you have to get rid of the last character, you know, because he keeps creeping into the next one. And that's a bit annoying. I did feel that a lot with Rock On, because the expectation from filmmakers also became KD, you know, because it was such a loved character. And the film did so well. It was a massive success. The character was immensely loved. So, and I had a couple of films that happened all back to back after that, and one or two of them wanted the same character, and I was fighting that. And also, then the same character was creeping in, you know, into the next character. So you have to sort of. It's hard, you know. It's hard. So you have to really sort of pay attention to it and try to do something different each time. And that's the work. That's what keeps you entertained. That's what keeps your mind working for as an actor. Whereas it's kind of a boring job, right? If you're doing the same thing day in and day out.
Mm. You said something, and I think it's very interesting. You said sometimes a previous character creeps in. Do you find that you sort of keep building a new identity as a real person, as Purab Kohli? I mean, is Purab Kohli an amalgamation of the various characters that he's played? Because if you think about it, you've led so many different lives, right? And you've been exposed to so many different lives. So have you become an amalgamation of characters, or are you able to sort of keep that to the side sometimes? And like, how does it work?
Well, the amalgamation of characters, I would say, sounds like really like a schizophrenic person, but I think growth from all the characters is how I like to look at it. So with each part that I play, I kind of take some things that I like about the character, more and more. And I started, if you followed my career, I started acting when I was very young. I started acting, I was 18 and a half or something, and I didn't want to be an actor, and that's a very impressionable age. So parts you read, scripts you loved, parts you wanted to play, you saw the actors play, and all these things initially, the initial stage of acting, I realized that were helping me form my own personality also, as I was growing as an individual with parts I played, maybe Pasuni, which was my first film, or My Brother Nikhil, which was
lovely film.
Yeah, great film I did. There was a lot to learn from that film while doing it also, and to see the impact it had on people who saw that film. So I think you take a little bit from each part. You get rid of some of it at the end of it. It's just growth as a person, and you are, as an actor, I guess you're lucky to have the intelligence or the exploration of a director or a writer's mind, or introspection of a writer's mind to look at different characters and pull out characteristics, and you can decide that I want to retain some of this and I don't want to retain some of this. I've always believed in evolution, and you can always keep evolving, and you can, when people say that this is who I am, I like to say this is who I am today, and maybe tomorrow I won't be that person, I'll be somebody else, and I'll change my views, and I'll change my opinion, and I'll change the way I do things, and I am that. I am that kind of person. I like to do things differently all the time, even with parts I play, even the way I live my life. I think any kind of. Having said that, the age I'm at right now, I do feel like I need to sort of get some routine in place. But more or less, I think change every now and then is fun. Keeps you on your toes, keeps your mind busy. Growth is a good thing.
Yeah. Speaking of growth, then, how did London Confidential, either on a practical level because of the COVID-19 restrictions, or on a personal level, or both, how did shooting and London Confidential, generally speaking, help you grow?
Well, to be honest with you, there were many reasons, and in a normal case scenario, I would have said no to the film because of the time and pace that they were working at. It was like 10 days we're shooting, and meet the director, do this, do that, and I was very skeptical, I have to say, and I was like, okay guys, I mean, I hate jumping into projects so quickly, and but I remember talking to my wife about it, and she said, I think you should go ahead and do it at a time like this when there's not enough, people are struggling and there's not work, and work is coming and knocking at your doorstep. You should just go ahead and do it. I think that for me is looking at doing work very differently in today's time, especially, because a lot of projects come like that. In the past, I've refused many. I've regretted some of those decisions that I made because they were so quick. They were like, okay, we're shooting in a week, and I said no. And then when I look at that film, I said, damn, I should have done it. I think that's definitely an insightful change towards wanting to do something, and not expecting much from it. And I mean, I honestly didn't think London Confidential would have done this well that it's done. Like when we saw the first week's responses to it, I was like, wow, this is really done well. So it's instilled faith for me as an actor, as a professional, to respect work that comes so quickly, and what might feel like a scary thing for me to have no time to prepare, it sometimes turns out quite right. Also giving faith completely to fate, and and to the people who are pulling it off and making the project happen. I think that's a big learning and takeaway from it. And I think, as I said about the action sequences, I think I was a bit conscious while shooting it, because I had this expectation from myself, a very high expectation set from all the training I'd done. And I was like, wow, now it's going to show, and I need to feeling very pressurized. Also, as I said, it was done, that action sequence was done in we shot it in 3 or 4 hours. It was like, when you see action sequences in movies that you really enjoy, they've been shot over days. We literally had, I think we had 3 hours with rehearsals. So we shot it in 45 minutes or an hour, literally, because it was a tight day already. There was a lot being shot, and this was one sequence that we had to shift a location and go and shoot. We literally ran there, shot it, and then got out, And it was like 6 or 7 takes. We did the whole action sequence. And when I saw it after the edit, I made my valet actually shoot it on the phone, and he sent me a video. I was like, oh God, it's gonna look terrible. And when I saw it after it was edited, I was like, wow, it looks really good.
Nice.
And we had, imagine if we had a day, what we could have done with it. So that also is something that is, now it's giving me confidence to go out and do more of that. I'm not so insecure about doing a fight sequence in front of the camera now.
Nice. Purab, I want to thank you for your time. It was a great chat. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
We share a surname with our director, Sethi.
I know. I've been looking at all of the articles, and I'm like, oh, I should have a conversation with Mr. Sethi and introduce myself.
He's a very interesting man, and he's very different from Indian directors that I normally work with, because he's German. He's not Indian. He's most of his life in Germany. He speaks also German more fluently than any other language that he speaks. So I think his sensibility is also very, very European in terms of what he likes to do. And so I'm hoping that we get another chance to work together.
And I look forward to seeing if the two of you get together for a project.